when I was in my teenage years, there's a place where I had the dysfunctional family, and then I transitioned into my adulthood. And when I transitioned into that, there was still abusive relationships. And then I transitioned into my 30s. And there's that place where I started my life as a testimony. There's a place where I had a car accident just before I turned 40, and I had to learn how to walk all over again. And 3.5 years later, I ended up having another car accident, and this time being hit on my driver's side. Praise God that nothing was severe, but I walked out of that with having fibromyalgia. My coach had turned around and she was like, "You are the overcomer." And I was like, oh, okay, because she's like, that's a word you're always using.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Meta Transitions. Today we have with us Khalilah. Khalilah is one of my dear friends and the owner of the OvercomR. You have seen her around. I am sure she's international. She talks a lot about, her experience, and you might know her as My Life is a Testimony, right? She recently did a rebranding and now she goes by the OvercomR. We're so happy to have her here with us to share her story. Welcome to our show, Khalilah.
Thank you for having me, Tricia. I'm really blessed to be here. Thank you.
Yes, definitely. All right, so we're going to just jump right into it. Khalilah, tell us what
Okay.
your story is.
Uh, the story starts from birth and goes to the age of what I am right now. Um, what was really funny is you asked the question about what is your transition story, and I'm always transitioning, and I think
Mhm,
that's a story in itself. In
mhm,
a place where, I transitioned from, like, when I was in my teenage years, there's a place where I had the dysfunctional family and the abuse and the neglect and the foster homes and things like that. And then I transitioned into my adulthood. And when I transitioned into that, there was still abusive relationships, and there was trying to become an adult and trying to clean up my act and take care of my home and trying to deal with a house or just have a job,
yeah.
and then I transitioned into my 30s. And there's that place where I started my life as a testimony, and I started to travel and minister for God, and my relationship with God became very important to me, and I grew in that space, and I grew as an individual, and I tried to hope as a woman. And then, as I was coming out of that transition, there's a place where I had a car accident just before I turned 40, and from there I worked really hard to transition myself to a place where I could, be mobile again, where I had to come out of walking, learn how to walk all over again, and learn how to just try to, like, take just be able to take my time when it came to, like, driving, or being able to take care of things in my own home. And I worked really hard to get some of the enjoyments back in my life, like socially, and being a little active, or maybe just running a little bit. And even though it took me a very long time to do that, uh, last year, 3.5 years later, I ended up having another car accident, and this time being hit on my driver's side, and them having to crowbar me out of the car, and me having to go to the hospital. I praise God that nothing was severe, but I walked out of that with having the chronic illness of fibromyalgia,
Yeah.
and because of that, I don't work the way that I used to. Like, the way that you remember me is this keep it going, always moving kind of person.
Yes.
And that doesn't really happen as much right now because I have to stay still and keep it moving, or let my brain do the work while my body takes the rest.
Yeah.
So it's a very different way that I have to move now, how I have to live a life of more accessibility. And when you ask the question about the transition, it's just this sometimes it takes us a little bit of time, and sometimes it takes a long time to do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think what's really interesting is, even though I've had this second car accident, this is my time to actually, the reason why you were talking about the rebranding, because that in itself was a transition where
Mm.
the my life is a testimony is always my company. It's always my branding. It's always who I am. You know me. I put the good out there. I put the bad out there. I put the joyful moments. I put the tearful. I put the
Yeah.
tearful
Yeah.
moments out there. Um, but the rebranding came even with that transition, because I knew it wasn't people weren't they understood it, but they didn't understand it.
Hmm.
And in having a coaching session, it was my coach that turned around and she was like, "You are the overcomer." And I
Hmm.
was like, oh, okay, because she's like, "That's a word you're always using."
Yeah.
And it's an empowering word. And I'm in that place where I'm transitioning here. And what's amazing is that I feel like I put up a post the other day, and I feel like I'm literally not even transitioning from, like, a caterpillar into a butterfly.
Mm.
I feel like I'm literally just dropping like ashes and becoming a phoenix. Like, every
Yeah.
step that I'm taking right now to build a community and to get support through my nonprofit, which is Fibro Fighters Stand Up, which I is led by chronic pain sufferers, for chronic pain sufferers. Even the chronic pain conversation show that I do, in my life of trying to educate people, advocate for people, show people how to advocate for themselves, get the resources that they need. That's where I am right now, where I'm really trying to help as many fibromyalgia and chronic pain people, but I still empower women. I still
Yeah.
talk for youth and young adults. I still just talk about life in general. So I think that's how it's been going. And sometimes it's been like really fast, and sometimes it's
Hmm.
been slow. And, even right now, this is, I look okay, but I'm so slow today. I'm like, some days it takes me 6 hours to get out of bed, and it's
Yeah.
just, so I'm okay with all of that, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, like I really appreciate you being here, being in pain and still being willing to join us and tell us about your journey. It speaks to the name, the Overcomer, right? Even now it's a mental space that you're in right now, right? You're saying, I'm overcoming because this interview is important, right? I'm not going to allow my body to dictate what, is important in this moment.
Well, what I had to do was, take a look at everything, and I was able to clear up my schedule so that I could rest to be here. So this is going to take my energy, but it's okay, because I was like, this is the priority for the day.
Mhm.
And I talk in that manner because I want other people to also know that you can also be changing things out, changing your priorities, moving at different paces, and still loving yourself, still succeeding to something, still moving towards something, still overcoming. As long as you're consistently moving in some way, shape, or form,
Mhm.
you're still growing, you're still, and even though you were like, you're here in the midst of your pain, my pain is a medical pain.
Yeah.
We don't talk about, mine's like physical, but we don't talk about emotional pain. There's so
Mhm.
many people that walk around, just as many as chronic pain sufferers, or even more, that are emotionally in pain, and you don't see it. That's an invisible
True.
disability,
Mhm.
right? So, and they show up at their job, and they show up for their kids, and they show up for their family. And sometimes they just don't show up for themselves. And
Yeah.
I want to show them how to show up for themselves.
Mhm.
So, yeah.
No, completely appreciate it. And, earlier you were talking about your life story and how, from birth to now and getting from that place to now. And I can hear sort of that emotional pain that you're talking about and having to rectify all of that and the help that you're getting from your coach and all of that. And that's one of the things that we like to champion here, at Meta Transitions, the idea that, what? We want to normalize that people go through transitions, and the idea that you might see somebody like yourself, getting up every day doing your shows on Instagram, but not recognizing that there's a backstory there. This person's going through something, and they're doing things in their life that are helping them to get to the next place that they need to get to. And by telling their story or telling your story here, there's a sense of hope and encouragement that hopefully somebody will walk away saying, you know what, my story might not be exactly like Khalilah's, but I could probably do something, right? Have some movement, like she said. And I could see how people could walk away, feeling crippled emotionally and physically. And I think what I'm hearing is that you're wanting to be that encouragement for others, to recognize that they can find healing, they can find movement, emotionally and physically through your services.
So the interesting is the thing is that I've been through all the types of pain. There's PENS, physical, emotional, neglect, sexual. Been through all of that. And I thought that I had gone through it all. And then to go through all of those, still find strength, still find a voice, still try to become something, still try to do something in this world, still trying to find my purpose. I come out and I find that there's boom, chronic pain,
Yes,
right?
yes.
And what is what is so interesting to me is that even though I have my physical pain, it reminds me so much of my emotional pain.
Mhm,
And so I understand how, in having an invisible disability, people don't see my pain. You can't see right now that my back feels like a pain level of 8 or 9, right? You
mhm,
don't see
mhm,
that. But we also don't see how people's hearts are at a pain level of 8 or 9,
mhm.
right? And so it's this very interesting perception that I've gotten because I've seen all kind of different sides of stuff.
Yeah.
And what I really want to advocate to people is that pain is pain.
Mhm,
And unfortunately, we go through pain as we get older, like as we go through life. Anyone that thinks that it's just happily ever after, I really hate to tell you it's not, right?
yeah. Yeah.
But what we think is painful only grows us, only matures us.
Mhm,
We look at the things around us in this world. We look at cars, we look at trees, we look at, the phone, and we're in awe of these things. We want to get the
mhm,
newest whatever's about to come out. Somebody went through pain to make that come out. It wasn't their first try. They had to
mhm,
go through this, like this defeat. They had to go through emotional stuff to get to that part, right? There's this place where we are so in love with fruits. It becomes summertime and we want a strawberry or that watermelon and it's luscious. But that was a seed that was
mhm,
planted in the earth, that had to pop out, grow, that had to sprout, that had to go through getting water, that had to go through cold, that had to go through the sun, it had to go through things picking around it, it had to go through all of these things to still grow, to continue to grow, to continue to grow until we decided to pick it and indulge in the fruitfulness of it. Why
mhm.
can't our lives be the same way in that manner?
Yeah.
Why is it that our pain isn't seen in that pain sometimes is us just coming through the dirt,
Mhm,
that pain is, yeah, okay, it's a little hot today, but I'm going to get fed later on at nighttime, or I got watered before the sun came out. Why can't we look at that when we go through this, we evolve and we become something so much, we understand a whole new perspective. We have a lot more compassion and understanding about the world. And that in turn gives to other people, not just to yourself.
mhm. Yeah.
Am I
I think
making,
what I'm, oh, go ahead.
am I
No,
making sense?
I was gonna, yes, definitely. I'm hearing, it's not about the outcome necessarily. We can celebrate the outcome at some point, but it's about the process. It's thinking about the process as a way to get to the outcome, right? And recognizing that, the process is not always going to be pretty. It's gonna be challenging, it's gonna be hard, there's gonna be some pain, right? But then being able to say, this pain is going to lead me to better, right? I can grow from this. I can get to a place where it's going to be sweet. Yeah.
The funny thing about it is that we already know this.
Mm,
We already know how to go through the cycle of pain or overcoming or, getting through something. You did it when you were 5 and you were trying to ride a bike and you scraped your knee, but you didn't care. You wanted to be able to do it. You did it when you wanted to learn to be on a specific sports team and you stayed there really hard at night or at whatever time and you got up to make sure that you made it onto the team. You did it when you wanted to make sure that you had a class, you sacrificed for something so that you would have the time to make sure that you achieved in the area that you wanted to achieve or with the program. You did it when you wanted to get to a job interview and you needed to learn about the company or who it was that you were working for. There's that place where even you have those 3 months probation where you're learning something. We already have these perceptions and these perspectives of how to overcome, how to become, you know what I mean, how to evolve, how to get through something.
Yeah.
Yet what happens is that sometimes we forget to apply it to a different aspect of their life. And that's how I help people. I help them take perspectives that they've already known, that they've already overcome, that they feel very confident in, and then show them how to apply it into the different aspect of their life.
It's a mindset. It's a mindset.
Right?
You already have the answers, and it's like you're speaking as a counselor, really, because that's in a sense, that's sort of a little bit what I do, right? It's that there's this idea of helping individuals to recognize what they already know deep inside and to come to awareness of it, and the reason why it's important, right? And I think what I'm hearing there is you're helping individuals to recognize that this area, of your life can be applied to this other area. You can look at pain as a struggle that you're going through right now that can lead you to something better, or you can grow through this pain. It's almost like something my husband talks about from Marcus Aurelius, the idea of the obstacle is the way. And from I heard that that phrase, I was just like, what? And I was like, well, that's so true.
Oh, those are mic drops where you're just like, oh, I hate that he's right. When they go through challenges and they become when they become an overcomer in an aspect of their life, when they choose to fight for something, they fought for Canada, they fought for their parents, they fought for their siblings. It's time that we fight for ourselves, especially when we're going through something. And that's where, survivors can overcome no matter what it is that you have survived. If it's, losing somebody, if it's, having the fibromyalgia, which is where I'm specializing in, and where in other areas of your life, this is, people should know that they can do this. Like, people should know that it doesn't need to be a fearful thing. People should know that those that have gone through it and who are ready to turn around and show them how to come through it, the reason why we're willing to do it is because there's just a lot more fresh air in this area. There's not as much confusion or doubt or there's more understanding, there's more knowledge, because you went through the trail to learn different things and improve your skills of life or your knowledge about life. And so when you turn back around, it's not as difficult. Those obstacles aren't as difficult.
Yeah.
Am I
Yeah, no, it's making total sense. It's making total sense, right? And that's why you're here. That's why we want you to talk to the audience, to give us some tips. Maybe that's the last thing that I'll ask you about. If you were to give 3 tips to somebody, right, who needs to overcome something, what would be 3 things that you would share with them?
number one? You are going to fail. I'm going to be the first one to tell you that. When you try to overcome an obstacle, a life situation, a hardship, you may have to try more than once in order for it to happen because you don't know the way to make it happen. So you either have to get a mentor or you have to study it and be patient with yourself, just like you were patient riding the bike, as mentioned before. So be patient with yourself as you go through that. Second, there are 4 C's to success that will always help you overcome and keep moving in that place. You want to be coachable. You want to be in a place where you're willing to learn. Understand that you don't know everything. A wise person says that they know nothing, right? Be coachable in the area into which you want to move into or out from. The second C is being consistent. Continually be consistent in what it is that you are trying to move into, what you're trying to achieve. If you do it every once in a blue moon, it's not really going to be a stepping stone. But if you do it, you're going to get that wheel moving. Third C, communication. Always make sure you communicate what it is that you want to do for yourself, and your community will show up. And the third thing is love yourself through this.
Mhm.
Love yourself and fight for yourself. If you don't fight for yourself, no one else is going to fight for you or with you. Make
Mhm.
sure that I want to tell you that you're worth it. I want to tell you, if no one else has ever said it before, you are worth fighting for. You are worth having happiness. You are worth having freedom. You're worth living in areas that make you smile in the morning. You're worth it. And if you need to be the only person that tells yourself that, then do it. But you are worth achieving your dreams. You are worth allowing that what is in your mindset, what it is that you think in your head, the things that you want to achieve. As long as you aren't hurting other people, you are allowed to go and fight for it and have it. I wish you blessings as you try to achieve it. That's what I'm saying.
Wow, thank you so much. No, those tips are amazing. I think I can walk away with something as well. Sort of that idea of coachability, right? That willingness to accept that you don't know everything and being willing to grow and learn. I think that's something I'm always learning and I always need to, say to myself that yes, I don't know everything, right? I need help too. And it's
Right.
sometimes hard as a counselor to admit that you need help too,
Oh
right?
my
So I'm
gosh.
definitely walking away with that for sure.
There is. I'm trying to figure out where I missed the last one. I'm like, I know I missed something.
I think community
Yeah, community.
is
It's not community. It's not
oh,
community,
okay.
which is really funny. But I was like, no, it's coachability, consistency, communication. I can't think of it. My brain is just not letting me think about it today. I'm so sorry, my love.
It's all right. No worries. No
Yeah,
worries.
and that's it. That's it.
Mhm. Okay.
Over the small things, understand that you overcame. Over the big things, understand that you overcame. And little, 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 little ends up being big, right? That's how you have a snowball effect. So just even rejoice over the small things.
Yes.
That's it.
Yes, 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 I agree completely. All right, well, thank you so much for being with us, Khalilah, and sharing your wisdom through your pain. A true testament of being an overcomer.
Thank you for having me. It's been a blessing. Thank you so much for having me.
All right, so maybe what you can do as you're going out, tell our viewers how they can contact you, right? Because I'm sure a lot of people out there have chronic pain or, would like some coaching regarding this idea of overcoming. So, how can they reach you?
All right, you guys. So they call me the Overcomer. It's at TheOvercom, just the R, because I'm rebellious. I'm full of righteousness. I like to be a rebel, but I also like to be real. You can find me on Instagram, Twitter, or Facebook. There is also the website, the Overcomer, again, TheCo. Am I spelling this right? No, I'm not. T. This is how much pain I'm in right now. I can't even think. TheOvercomR.com. It'll be a free webinar, and I'm launching my course. I'm really, really excited for that. Make sure that you register on any of my links, and you can follow me on YouTube. And we have the chronic pain conversations every Tuesday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Facebook and YouTube. So that's it. That's a little bit about me.
Wonderful. Tell us again about the fibromyalgia. Is it a series that you're coming out with?
So the webinar that I just put together, the concept is how to self-manage your fibromyalgia. So
Mhm.
this one is a free webinar that I'm doing just to give people some practical applications through some of the courses that I've learned that I've been getting educated on. That is just going to be a little small sample of the bigger thing that I'm doing, but at the same time, I have some coaching and some consultings that I do when it comes to a lot of our chronic pain community don't know that there are benefits that are accessible to them or which
Hmm.
benefits they should use. So I kind of do a consultation with them and do a review with that. I also am an accountability, so I teach people how to pace their life with the chronic pain because that's a really big thing. Like whether you have it or not, a lot of people don't know how to pace their life.
Hmm.
So today I had to just talk myself through it and still self talk to myself. And these are some of the things that I teach people because they're not used to it. They've never gone through it. These weren't things that we taught in school. We didn't talk
Yeah.
about PTSD. So I help them come and find people like the proper professional help that they need, but I can source that out. So,
Okay, well, that makes total sense. And I think that, we can definitely direct everybody to your website where they can find all this information. We will be putting Khalilah's information in the description box below. We're so happy to have had you. Uh, no problem. All right, everyone. Until next time, take care.